Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the class. We are doing the chapter Industries, and under this chapter, we were doing about the iron and steel industry. And we have seen what are the inputs, what are the processes, and what are the outputs of this industry. And we have seen that how the process of this conversion of iron ore into steel is takes place in the industries. Okay, and now today we will proceed further. What we find that this iron and steel industry is called the backbone of all the industry. It is called the feeder industry, backbone of all the industry, because what we find that everything what we use is either made of iron or steel, or has been made with tools and machinery of these metals. And like if we use anything which is not made up of iron, but the thing is made by the machines, and these machines are made up of iron. And so in this way, iron and steel industry is called the backbone of all the industries. Like oil wells are there, from which through drilling the oil is extracted from those oil wells. So these oil wells are drilled with steel machinery. And so in this way we are getting oil with the help of iron and steel industry only. Right? So in this way it is called backbone of all the industries. Similarly, the transportation of oil takes place through pipelines, and these pipelines are also made up of iron. Right? So this iron is also used in this way. And not only this, we find that mining of minerals takes place with steel equipments only. So these are the reasons why we call iron and steel industry as the backbone of all the industries in any country. So mining of the minerals also depend upon steel equipments. Not only this, farm machinery, tractor, harvester, thresher, everything is made up of iron only. So farm equipments, farm machines are mostly steel. Then large buildings, they also have a steel framework. So in this way, steel is the backbone of all the industry. Okay, and now we see that about the location of iron and steel industry. What we find that before 1800 AD, the iron and steel industry used to be located where raw materials were available, like coal and iron ore and magnesium. Where these raw materials were available, plus power supply was also sufficient, and running water was easily available. So all these factors were taken into account in the setting up of iron and steel industry before 1800 AD. But later development, what we find that the ideal location for industry changed. It used to be near coal fields and close to canals and railways. कोल फील्ड जहाँ से कोल मिल जाएगा, and canal it will provide water, and railway it will provide transportation for it will provide means of transportation for the transportation of raw materials and finished goods. है ना? And after 1950, we find that this iron and steel industry started to be located on large areas of flat land surface, है ना, जहाँ पर लैंड सरफेस फ्लैट है, एंड जो कि द प्लेस विच इज़ नियर टू सी पोर्ट्स, बिकॉज वाटर transport is the cheapest means of transport when the transport is done on a very huge level. Bulk transport जब होता है तो in that case water transport is the cheapest mode of transport. So we find that after 1950 this industry began to be located on large areas of flat land near seaports, है ना, because there was a need to import iron ore from different countries. तो seaport के पास है तो transportation आसान हो गया. Then finished good can also reach through sea, through water transport to various places. So these are the changes in the location of industry, iron and steel industry. We find that in our country, what happened? Important steel producing centers are concentrated in 4 states: West Bengal, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, and West Bengal, Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh and Odisha. So these are the 4 states where we find that iron and steel industry in India is concentrated. And in 4 states, so many places are there where iron and steel industry is set up. Like in Jharkhand, it's Bokaro and Jamshedpur. So these Bokaro and Jamshedpur, these 2 places are there where iron and steel industry is located, and these 2 places are in Jharkhand, then Durgapur and Gorakhpur. These 2 places are in West Bengal. Then VIII, it's in Chhattisgarh. Then Rourkela, it's in Odisha. So initially these 4 states, all the iron and steel industry were concentrated in all these 4 states, but later we find that it started to be set up in different countries also, like in different states also, like Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu. यहाँ भी iron and steel industry सेटअप होने लगे, और इनमें जो particular places हैं, they are very important to memorize. You have to remember all these places, है ना. So in Tamil Nadu, it's Salim. The name of the place is Salim. Okay. And then in Karnataka, it's Bhadravati and Vijayanagar. Bhadravati and Vijayanagar. And the last is Andhra Pradesh, in Andhra Pradesh it's Visakhapatnam. Okay. So these are the important places where iron and steel industry is situated. So in this context, we will focus on Jamshedpur, Tata, where TISCO was established before independence. It was the first iron and steel industry of India. Okay, so we will now focus only on Jamshedpur. So what we find that before independence we have only one iron and steel plant in country, that is TISCO. About this TISCO you have read in your history book also. That chapter, weavers, iron smelters and factory owners. So here you have to do this Tata Iron and Steel Company Limited. Okay, so this company was privately owned. Jamshedji Tata was the owner of this TISCO, and after independence, we find that the government has taken the initiative and it has set up so many iron and steel plants about which we have just now discussed, like Barnipur and Durgapur, then Bhilai, then Rourkela, and so all these were set up by the government, but this is owned by the private people, and it was set up in 1907. TISCO. It was set up in 1907 at the place Sakchi. Here two things are there. This date, the year. 1907 was the year in which this iron and steel industry was set up, but the production was started in 1912. इस दिन सेटअप हुआ, इस ईयर में सेटअप हुआ, और इस ईयर में प्रोडक्शन स्टार्ट हुआ. ठीक है. और the place is Sakchi, where this iron and steel industry was set up. Later we find that this Sakchi was renamed as Jamshedpur. तो जो place है जहाँ पर iron and steel industry है, that is Sakchi, and starting में तो there was only one industry was there, but gradually the whole city was developed, है. So that city came to be known as Jamshedpur, and we find that Jamshedpur is the most conveniently situated iron and steel center in the country. If we see it from the point of view of geographically, because all the you can see the factors which are important for the establishment of iron and steel industry is present here at Jamshedpur. So we will see why we say that Jamshedpur is the most conveniently situated iron and steel center in the country. So there were so many reasons why this place Sakshi was chosen to set up the steel plant. So why Sakshi was chosen to set up the steel plant? Why Sakshi was chosen to set up the steel plant? Because it has so many geographical advantage, locational advantage. First of all, we see that this place was only 30 km away from Kalimati station. This Kalimati station is on the Bengal-Nagpur railway line. So this is one of the most important factor, that the place means Sakshi, है ना? The place was only 32 kilometers away from from 32 kilometers away from Kalimati railway station. And you must know that this Kalimati railway station is situated on Nagpur Bengal railway line. Okay, so and the second factor is that this place was close to iron ore, coal and manganese deposit. The place was close to iron ore, manganese and coal deposit. And the place was close to iron ore, manganese and this is the second factor. And we also see that this place is also near Kolkata, which provide a large market. The place was near Kolkata, which provided a large market. Okay, so these are the factors, we can say, which is responsible for the setting up of first iron and steel industry at Sakshi. We find that it gets coal from Jharia coal field, it gets iron, limestone, dolomite and manganese from Odisha and Chhattisgarh. So everything is found at a very nearby places. And there are two rivers, Kharkai and Suvarnrekha. So the place, the Sakshi, is situated on the confluence of these two rivers, Kharkai and Suvarnrekha, जहाँ दोनों नदियाँ मिलती हैं. तो the water of Kharkai and Suvarnrekha is also required. So that is also an advantage, geographical advantage. So the fourth one is availability of water from the river Suvarnrekha and Kharkai. Okay, so these are the places. This is a very important question. कि क्यों साक्षी को ही, why Sakchi was chosen to set up the steel plant. So this is your answer. Okay. So this is all for today. We will continue with this topic in the next class.